It is time, one of the most important days of our lives, where two lovebirds are getting ready to tie the knot in a contractual agreement that they will be there for each other. Even if Rudy's ED ever pops up again, Sophie will reverse tap that Rudy booty. If Sophie's family tree ever gets revealed and her thirst for a career to be Princess Ariel's guard starts to itch, Rudy will domestically contain it. This is light work for Rudis. Doro Numa Grerato. I mean, it's not like Rudy's ever failed before. I mean, who doesn't love a sadistically crazy plot? I do. I'm sure you do too. Welcome to another episode review of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation, Season 2, Episode 14, Heroine, Wedding Reception. Of course, spoilers up until this episode, guys. For the hook of the episode before the opening credits, it continues on this slice of Rudy booty and future elf MILF, Sophie. These two lovebirds are figuring out who to invite for their wedding reception, or like a meetup thing at their cursed mansion. Like real Paul, discount Paul must one-up the real father by not actually being at one of Rudy's biggest events. Then Nanahoshi gets brought up since Rudy's like, that weird chick ain't gonna attend, but Sophie's girl intuition tells her that nah, she'll be there if you invite her. They invite all the typical suspects that have been involved in season 2 like Zanoba, Julie, Persena, Linnea, Cliff, Alina, Lise, Badigadi, Nanahoshi, Princess Ariel, Douchebag Grey Rat, and all their servants. Before the scene ends, Sophie brings up Alina, Lise, which is kinda odd because Rudy figures that they never really interacted or built a relationship before. Guys, I love scenes before opening credits because it sets you up with the hook. Going into an episode or movie blind without something to hold on to engage you in the first few scenes, it's not as exciting without one. As a viewer, I thought to myself, what is their particular relationship? And why did Sophie randomly bring up the whore? There's nothing more romantically slice of life than the couple going shopping. Besides getting the grub that's needed for the event, Rudy needs new drip. And of course the girlfriend always dresses up the boyfriend. The damn worker tried to dress Rudy up in some weird earth maze drip, but Sophie's like, nah, the demon drip is where it's at. The worker asks for Rudy's name, and he tells him that he is a Grey Rat. The Grey Rat name is so good he felt so grateful due to douchebag Grey Rat that Rudy and Sophie caught a discount. When you are a couple for, let's say, 1 year, that's pretty much still the honeymoon phase. That means disaster awaits you after a year, but busting bodily fluids in the meantime is at an all-time high. Rudy and Sophie take a bath together and talk about how to provide for themselves. Rudy is going broke and even thinks about adventuring again to make ends meet, but Sophie is too much of the perfect wifey and it's like, I got the money, you just bring me the Rudy booty. And guess what? I'm gonna make you a bomb-ass sandwich in the meantime. Bang, bang. It is time for the get-together. Huge announcement. All the guests came together at Rudy's cursed mansion except Discount Paul and Bodygotti, who will probably arrive late. Like really late. Nanahoshi does actually show up to support her fellow human friend from Earth. Rudy is like, I got them tater chips for you, so she goes munching away. Rudy and Sophie stand near the fireplace to get everyone's attention for the huge announcement of their marriage. Rudy is feeling nervous and slightly lost for words as everyone makes weird faces at him. I mean, it's not like he's a fat ugly neat. Sophie urges Rudy to start speaking up to make the announcement like a great female partner would. As Rudy struggles with his words, Bodygotti arrives, fashionably late to steal part of Rudy's cringe thunder. Rudy hasn't found that alpha, aka the certainty and confidence in his voice to show why he had everyone gather at his mansion, so Bodygotti steps in like a real king for the assist to make things lively and exciting again. This shows that Rudy still has a ways to go before truly becoming that shonen protagonist. That lack of confidence is that character development. I think most of us are always somewhere in between, and that kind of alpha male kind of self-confidence that goes above and beyond, it's very rare. One by one, each character or group makes their congratulations to Rudy and Sophie. Princess Ariel offers Sophie to take a year off of bodyguard duty, but Sophie says she'll save it for them babies. Douchebag Grey Rat approaches Rudy and says, hey, let me just be Luke. Rudy is like, I never really even had a problem with you in the first place. Juliet formally and very cute like congratulates and thanks Rudy and Sophie. Zanoma does the same and apologizes for mistaking Sophie as Fitz. As a dude, Sophie says that Rudy did so too. So that makes Rudy at least a 1/4% suspect, right? Persena and Linnea give their congrats and never thought that he'd married a dude. Persena wants to act like after the fact that Fitz was always a girl. Nanahoshi says a quick thanks and tries to chip and dip. Sylphie suddenly stops her and says, "What you mean? Rudy and you came from the same place." Nanahoshi responds,
"I just assumed we did since we spoke the same language."
Rudy looks kinda surprised by Nanahoshi's answers and quickly disappears in the chip abyss. Cliff gives Rudy and Sylphie a prayer like a simp priest. Alina Lise offers her excitement that Rudy's ED has finally been cured and that he could have told her a lot sooner. Like a real one-woman man, Rudy was scared of the dreaded nympho attack. But like how she stopped herself before, she doesn't want to be Real Paul's daughter-in-law. Alina Lise continues to congratulate Sylphie, but to everyone's surprise, she has real feelings. It starts to weep uncontrollably as she got on her knees, but not in the way that she's used to. Slapping everyone in the face like a disgusting NTR hint, Sylphie asks Alina Lise out of the blue if she's her grandma. She proceeds to explain that her dad said that her grandma went adventuring with Real Paul. Alina Lise explains that her grandma couldn't be some whore like her, and Sylphie says that her dad had issues marrying too. All the stars are aligning in a way that Alina Lise was not wanting to. As she weeps on the floor on her knees, Rudy figures that Sylphie and Alina Lise are related. They even look alike. The pendant Sylphie made for Rudy looks like Alina Lise's as well. Rudy tells Cliff to take this sobbing cursed whore back to their room to look after her. After this big revelation, she doesn't want to be revealed. Alina Lise, that is. Alina Lise is scared that Rudy would leave a whore's family because, you know, the curse, the whore curse. Rudy reassures her up close that everything will be okay and she should be more worried about being related to Real Paul. That's the real downfall of all this. And if they dig deeper, it could be some disgusting stuff too, of how all of this is related. One by one, Persena and Linnea say their goodbyes, rubbing their indulgent tummies. Nanahoshi ate the chips and told Rudy, "I got them experience for you tomorrow cause the real people I love ain't here. Deuces, and thanks for the chips." Bodyguardi, Zanoba, and Julie say their goodbyes as Zanoba got too effed up. Sylphie and Rudy visit Cliff and Alina Lise at their room. Sylphie asks to speak with Alina Lise in private. And when things go private, there can be some secrets in there that are pretty revealing. So this just leaves Rudy and Cliff to meet up with Princess Ariel and her peeps. Princess Ariel asks Rudy to duel Luke in a sword fight, with swords only. And she said it's only in good fun. Rudy says then let's just use fake swords. I ain't really trying to die. Rudy and all of us are very suspicious of the sudden asking of a duel, but this whole situation is a trope. We know how these things end and we know the reason why. Naturally, Princess Ariel says that he can refuse if he wants, but she hopes that he does with a certain look on her face. That wink wink, I'm thinking something else face. Previously known as Douchebag Grey Rat begs him to do so as well. You know when they zoom into the character's eyes, you know that there are more than meets it. Just as Princess Ariel says, "Hajime!" Rudis humbled the shit out of Douchebag Grey Rat. I mean Luke, twice. To Luke's frustration, he admits his defeat and he even has to get healed. Luke tells Rudy to take good care of young Sylphie. Rudy asks him why they wanted the duel still. Of course, you got to entrust someone like her to a real man like Rudis Doronuma Grerato. Princess Ariel tells Rudy that she plans to go back to Asura one day to get rich or die trying. I mean, I guess to be queen or die trying. She goes on to explain that Sylphie has no real duty to actually accompany her. She's not a noble or royalty. She just fell from the teleportation. And all of a sudden, I guess she'll be my guard, my servant. And she seems to be kind of powerful. Once she has kids, it would be natural for her to not want to be a bodyguard no more because that motherly instincts kick in. Princess Ariel wants Rudy to prevent Sylphie from wanting to be her bodyguard. And of course, Rudy should want this as well if they're trying to settle down. Rudy thinks to himself that he owes Princess Ariel all of this and would end up following her too if Sylphie continues to be the bodyguard for her. So Princess Ariel mentions that if Rudy doesn't actually treasure or is actually in love with Sylphie that way, they will be taking Fitz back. So this sets up another potential angle of how things can go. incredibly wrong. This is the outlet of, if this relationship breaks up, she has a plan B if the relationship doesn't work out, from Sylphie's point of view. Because you know, when relationships go bad, you kind of have to go chase something else. You gotta have something else to do. So while things can go incredibly, absolutely horrible, it can be very entertaining to watch. So we'll see. Alina, Lisa, and Sophie head back downstairs and ask where Princess Ariel and the others went. Cliff acts like a real homie and starts to big up the great Doronooma in his triumphant duel to take down Luke, formerly known as Douchebag Grey Rat. It becomes confirmed that Alina, Lisa is indeed Sophie's grandmama. Between her curse and her personality, she was never actually out of trouble when she had the kids. She hid her name and tried to cut ties with everyone after they were able to kind of help themselves, because you know, you don't want the curse to rub off. Alina and Lisa pegged Sophie as a granddaughter or great granddaughter at first sight, that she's seen her and never wanted to reveal herself because the whore's curse. Alina and Lisa fell to her knees because Sophie, her Mago Musume, is actually happy. How can this be? Will she continue to be happy? It is the home of the former cursed mansion, after all. I mean, how did that doll guy die anyways? Cliff continues to surprise Rudy with his highest simpiness towards Alina and Lisa because of all this information and context coming out. I mean, she is like a grandma now that popped some babies out randomly. I'm sure Alina and Lisa age like fine poon. Although Cliff is a follower of Millis, I kind of forgot the whole god thing with that. Whatever that means, Cliff will do whatever it takes to relieve Alina Lise of her whore curse for the woman whom he loves and for whom she loves back. The great falling off the cliff with a whore so perfect. Captain save her off a cliff. For you, salute, sir. We need the Cliffs in the world because most of us other men wouldn't do what he does and be happy about it. In the end, Rudy agrees to help Cliff with his situation with Alina and Lisa. We all have homies we disagree with and don't fully understand, but at the end of the day, we homies help each other out. Cliff and Alina and Lisa say their goodbyes to Rudy and Sophie. Sophie is like, I want to grow my free ring hair out, and we get a somewhat happy ending to the episode as Sophie and Rudy just stand outside their mansion as their last guests leave. This episode continues to set up the eventual failure of this relationship. There are always external circumstances in life that prevent what is a seemingly great relationship into the return of potentially Rudy's ED, or he might be facing something different this time. What I loved about this episode is the different avenues the story can take us on. Of course, the most obvious is what issues will Rudy and Sophie eventually run into? How will they handle that? And what kind of external circumstances do arise that will make them make hard decisions? You kind of have this side quest deal with Cliff and Alina Lise. At some point, Eris will make her eventual return, but with Eris, you could pop that back in the story literally whenever you want if you want to throw a wrench into the story. So that's what's great about Eris's character within the story. This episode really did push this Alina Lise connection to Sophie. I mean, it was at the very beginning of the episode as a hook. It is very important to know that relationship, that revelation. Oh my god, they are related, Alina Lise and Sophie. And why does this matter? That's why within the story you have Sophie talk to Alina Lise in private, because there's very important mysterious information. So the point of the story of using that is there's a lot more craziness that could potentially come from this connection, and that's a great part of the storytelling. It is kind of a trope to kind of speak to someone else in private, leaving out very important contextual information that could change a lot of things of how the reader or the viewer can see it. You got to keep things mysterious to kind of keep the intrigue and engagement going. Like, okay, who cares if Alina Lise is the grandma? How real is this curse? Why does it have such a huge effect? Yeah, so at the end of the day, we're looking at how impactful will this be to Rudy's relationship with Sophie. You see, the story's already setting up potentially how the relationship will fail, potentially somehow through Alina Lise's curse, whether it is an actual curse or just ends up being a coincidence, because a lot of relationships fail, guys, naturally. Princess Ariel made it clear and provided an avenue to the story where Sophie really becomes Fitz again full time, cause gray rats. So the story gives us how the relationship can fail, and it gives us an out of where Sophie can be potentially going back to in the future if the relationship doesn't work out. While the story builds and leads us to a certain conclusion, that is the best time for some kind of spin, surprise, misdirection in the story. That is what makes Mushoku Tensei storytelling pretty damn stellar. Sets us up slightly, keeps us guessing, leaves some important contextual information out there to still give mystery to the story, and then boom, surprise motherfucker. And that's just great storytelling 101. Let me know what you guys thought about Mushoku Tensei episode 14, wedding reception. I would love to know. The story's still setting us up, still brewing and stewing, is building us up to something that can be very happy, is very slice of life. Everyone's giving their thanks, everyone's congratulating Rudy and Sophie, but at the same time, you gotta set up the plot. Through Princess Ariel and Alina Lise, it gives us different avenues to how a plot can form out of this in a negative sense for the characters, but in a very exciting sense for the viewers. So yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode and everything that's happened up to this point. I would love to know. And again, I want to keep reiterating, haven't read the manga, haven't read the light novels, still surprised by everything, but by not reading it, it gives me a chance to kind of see the different ways the writer can lead us to something else. So this is what I love about not reading something, then reading something. Once again, let me know what you guys thought about this episode and everything that's happened up to this point. Do me a favor, guys. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusin.com. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.